It's going to be like targeting. So anyways, so we're going to start off feet shoulder width, hands up like this. Okay, turning 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and stop. To the side, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and stop. Okay, next we're going to do the stretches, reaching down. 1, 2, 3, to your right, to your left, center, inhale, exhale. Okay, hands up, reach down. 1, 2, 3, to your right, 2, 3, to your left, 2, 3, center, inhale, exhale. Okay, hands up, reach down. 1, 2, 3, to your right, 2, 3, to your left, 2, 3, center, inhale, exhale. Okay, hands on your waist, circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, reverse. Other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center, cross, knees, circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Switch sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. Hands on your waist. Neck turning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center, back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1 and 2. Center. Tilt to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. Rotating. 1, 2, 3. And there's someone joining us. 1. Hi, Maria. 2, 3, center. Oh, Maria, can you shift over? Yeah, it's all right. They just got a good back view of you. That was Maria. That was her back. All of that back. Okay, so we're doing a head. Well, we finished those, so we're going to spread our feet now. Okay, there's a pole there, so careful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, and stop. Okay, turn, stretch it out. Switch. 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 Okay, we'll go to the other side again. Straighten the front leg. Stretch out the hamstrings. And switch. Switch again. Switch. Okay, move the center. Okay, shake it out. Hands up, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Okay, hands on your waist, shoulder roll. circular movements. Reverse. And center. Okay, press, release, exhale, inhale. And stop. Deep breathing, hands up. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Okay, wrists. So with these circles, make it, they should be a little bigger than that. It should come down to the extension of the arm. You fold your elbows. So it's a pretty big circle. A little bit different from, when you're just doing your wrists. You want the whole arm and shoulder to be involved. I think there is something blowing around. Uh-oh. I better put my mask on. Oh, no. What's that? Okay. Did we reverse? Other direction? And center. Okay, palms down. Bigger circle. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, shake it out. So let's work the balance and stand on one leg. So we're going to shift from side to side. So let your hip kind of sway over to this side. So there's still kind of a stretch until this pulls in. So there's a point where your leg wants to come in alongside the other foot. And when that happens, actually you could feel that you're in a balanced position. And that's the position you can start to pick up your leg or actually support yourself on that single leg. Now let's get that lower hand extended. Press down with the palm, kind of put a little bit of intent in that lower palm, so you're kind of pressing down. So everything forms a straight line in a vertical direction. And then down. Okay, now let's swing our arms like this. And now we're going to kick in. And center. Switch. And center. Okay, now we're going to go side to side, opposite. And center. Switch the other side. Okay, center, shake it out. Hands up, deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, silk rilling. Step out. So these drills are just dosing the specific actions in the form, whether it's transitions, final positions, working the geometry of position, shifting of the weight. All of this is developed just from this routine called silk reeling. It's just going forward, turning, and back. So it's learning to integrate the hands and legs, building upper-lower coordination. Okay, switch. Okay, Sana. Okay, cross the hands, fold the elbows, left foot forward, open and close. Okay, switch. Okay, Sana. Circular movements. And Sana. Okay, good. Deep breathing. Inhale. Okay, we do carry tiger to the mountain, lower hoop, lift up. And Sana. Okay, infinity sign. Okay, form the fists. Okay, palms together, strum the lute. Okay, thumbs up. Alternate the shoulders a few times. Okay, let's switch the other side. Thumbs up. And center. Okay, extend, turn, draw the bow. Okay, now spread your feet. Both feet are 45 degrees to the corner. Cross the arms. Whichever arm's on top is the side you're going to turn toward. So if I have this side on top, I would turn toward this direction. So this is mirror image, so it doesn't really matter as long as you realize that what the hand on top is the side you turn to, so you don't have to actually think too much about it's right or left. Just be conscious of the fact that the hand on top is toward the direction that you're turning. Okay, now let's raise the hand. And center. Okay, palms down, hands up. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. So because this is a live stream class and the information is directed toward the audience that's watching in the camera, so this class will be different from when we're doing a typical class. So a lot of this is more instructional for people that are either learning the form or maybe trying to refine it in some way. So what I do in this section of the form is work I call it dosing, working on a dose of postures, concentrating on either the single postures on both sides, so at least you can capture the different maneuvers or the transitions inside one of the postures, and then you practice them as a singular unit. And then we put it together sequentially only toward the mirror. So that gives you an idea of what it looks like. And then we map it out for the next section. We just run through the form. And we'll do some of that in the next section with 108 too, because people have said online that, we only go through the form. So when they watch the class, when it's live, they just see us doing it. So a lot of people watching don't know the whole complete sequence. So that's part of what we're going to do. So the first thing we do is preparation, and that's this movement. Now we do this as part of the warm-ups, part of the fundamentals. So this is the movement, but in the form we do it once. Now the 45-degree corner position really sets up the step up on either the left side or the right side. So what we have to do to get into that position is shift the weight, move the foot out, and then set up our hands. So there's your vertical position. So you can see in the mirror that we have one right side with the toe up, fingertips up, and one left side. Okay. Now we're in this position and we square the feet. That sets up just a pivoting action in the lower part of your body. But pivoting is setting up your feet to set you up for a direction of movement. So when we're like this, we're typically going to go forward. If our feet are together like this, then that's a starting position. Or this is a position that we would do the leg swing, or even that's the position that you would walk, because we typically don't walk from a shoulder width stance. And you can imagine if you're standing in a shoulder width stance, that if you walk like this, you would kind of waddle. And why did we waddle? Why do we waddle like that? That looked funny, right? But the thing is, the reason why we waddle is because when we're like this, your foot, when you walk, one foot has to carry your weight one leg at a time. So you end up walking and not transferring the weight efficiently. But when the feet are like this, you're directly in front of your leg, and your toe is actually going to carry. So you can transition as if you're rolling forward much more directly. So as simple as that is, who pays attention to that? Just, I bring it up because that's how I think. But when I bring it up, it becomes obvious that it makes sense. Now when we're in the shoulder width stance and I turn like this, we have the left foot up and we have this hand positioned like this. Now in this position, we can do left side grasp the sparrow's tail. Okay, so left side grasp the sparrow's tail is the vertical, the horizontal as a press, and then both hands face down, and you go to the back hip. That would be the one you're sitting on. And then you cut across, turn the inside hand up, and this is grasp the sparrow's tail. Now we turn back to the front and square the feet and open the hand as a transition. You would be in the left side single whip. Now if we turn this way, now we're on the right side. We find right side neutral, horizontal, roll back, inside hand comes up, and you push out, you hook your wrist, and we turn. So actually this is good for both Mara and Maria, because if they were teaching a class and they at some point or someday they might be doing something on their own, they might teach a group of people in a senior center, or possibly some of their even patients, you might work with them on some simple things like this. In one of your sessions, you might do something like this. So this is very simple to do, and you're just doing the right and left grasp the sparrow's tail to single whip. Now single whip, this is just a partial single whip, because we know that a single whip position is typically wider than that. But the basic structure of this position is like this. So we have a hooked hand on one side and a hooked hand on the other side. So when we do this and this, you see how the hands alternate. We do that when we do our first exercise, and we alternate the hands too. You know, when we're doing the very first exercise and we do the waist rotation, we alternate the hands. That kind of teaches you to swap positions, as you know, as simple as that may be. But there's a little, but it didn't dawn on us, right, that's what was happening. But just to show you that if we go like this and put our hand like this and we open and close and it's in this position, it's a little bit different. It's a lot harder to do that. And all we're doing is alternating the hands. All you're doing is that. But you can see that even though we're opening this hand, closing this hand, because the hands don't know we can do it like this, but we added a dimension of movement from side to side. So that got us totally confused. So you can see how a simple movement that we don't pay attention to becomes something that you have to really, be conscious of and try really hard to get it. But once you get it, it becomes a no-brainer. So that's what a no-brainer is. So anyways, so that's your grasp the sparrow's tail moving. So that's what the footwork does. And you practice this basic posture, which is really a critical movement, because in all styles of Tai Chi, we have the grasp the sparrow's tail. And it's a roll back, and the inside hand turns, and you push forward, and you turn back to the front. You hook your wrist, and then this hand goes across and gets it to there. So what does that teach you? It teaches you the right and the left grasp the sparrow's tail. It teaches you the transition, because you're always moving into the direction, the front direction, to set this up. So if you're on this side, you'll be setting this up. So it teaches you to move your feet. And we know to move the feet, set up the feet before we move the hand. So you always kind of alternate the positions. Move your legs, move your hands, move your legs, move your hands. So that becomes sort of a cycle. Now, once we're in this single position, we can turn again, go back to neutral, but this time we're going to do the brush knee. So brush knee is another posture that we do on both sides. And what that is, if I'm going to do, I'll do the front view so you can see that without actually doing the legs, your hands end up like this. So when you have a right side horizontal arm, that's the direction you're going to turn to. So use your elbow as a director. You're going to go in that direction. If I have this elbow, I'm going to go in this direction. So in this case, if my hands are in a triangle like this, and I do this, there's your hoop, right? That's your horizontal elbow. Now, if I bring this hand to here and turn it out, then this is the direction I'm going to turn to. Now, if I flip my hands and bring this hand down and turn toward that opposite corner, that's how you would do brush knee. Now we go back to the center again with this palm like this and set up the left side. Now we turn to the left, flip the elbows, bring this hand down. So we have a vertical and a horizontal, and then you go to the corner. So that's your brush knee hand movement. Now how you would do that with the hands finding your center line would be when this palm goes out, I bring this horizontal elbow in front of it, and I turn to the right. And there's brush knee, and you push to the corner because you have to initiate some type of waist turn in order to brush your knee. So the brushing of the knee is not a hand movement isolated. It becomes a turning in a direction. Okay. So if I move my left foot forward and I have my hands in a vertical strum the lute position, which is this vertical elbow, and I square my body and turn like this, I have brush knee, right side, and push. If I sit back, switch feet, go to the right side, and then palm out. I set my hands up, I turn to my left because of the elbow. we flip. So this is brush knee and push right and left sides. Okay. So if you're just learning this, you would want to do these separately just to develop the body mechanics and the sequence of events. So you're really going from a triangle to a hoop on one side to a hoop on the other side. So just to do this does take a little bit of coordination and mindfulness that the hands kind of go, they flip and they flip, only trying to find that same position, right? So this is flipping, this is alternating. You see, this is flipping, and this is alternating. Okay, so we got that as a sort of a starting position. So the starting position is vertical and horizontal, so we have that position, right? So then we have a starting position and we have this position. So if we reverse the hands, it would be like this, reverse the hands like this. Now when this hand is out, we turn this way. When this hand is out, we turn this way. Okay. So that's what we do in the brush knee. Now, we also have a similar position here. And this is grass the sparrow's tail, right? Now, when we're in brush knee, here's the difference. We have to be in the opposite stance. And we turn. Here's the same side if we were to do grass sparrow's tail, but we have to be in the opposite stance before we can do a brush knee. So that's kind of something that you have to actually bear in mind, that when you're doing the grass sparrow's tail, that position is on the same side. When you're in the brush knee position, you would be like that. So is it pretty clear? We probably don't pay attention to it because when we learn a sequence, especially when you're going through the movements in the form, you're just learning it, sort of going through those motions, and then it just becomes something that you're familiar with. But then when you start to pay attention to what's happening, there's a lot more involved as far as identifying it. And then when you can identify it, then when you teach it, you can see if someone's getting confused. Because that's what you have to do as a teacher. You have to kind of try to figure out what the student is thinking or how their mind is, taking on this information. So then you have to kind of get to the point where they have can clarify that misinterpretation or communication. Okay, so let's go from single whip to hold the ball. So that's what this is. Okay, so when you're in a hook position, holding the ball is to bring this hand into the center, then you lower the hand, bring this hand on the opposite side, and then you lift the elbow to get you into this position. Now, the lower hand goes up and the upper hand goes down. And we've been doing that action many, many times already. For instance, if we do this, raise the hand, the upper hand goes down, the lower hand goes up, and they kind of alternate and reciprocate back and forth, up and down. So when you're in the hold the ball position, it's a different format, different structure, but it still applies. That if I shift this way and straighten this foot, the lower hand goes up and the upper hand goes down. There's diagonal flying. Okay. So that's that position. If I were to put this hand on top and put this hand on the bottom, which is hold the ball again, and I lean to this, straighten this foot, there's diagonal flying on this side. You see, so that's all we're doing is shifting and alternating the sides. And that happens in the form when we hold the ball like this after the repulse the monkey. and we go into insert needle. Okay, so you recognize that position is after we repulse the monkey and we go to neutral position and we put this one on top and we step up to set up our leg, there's our diagonal flying. So you see that transition is something that is built into some of the actions that we're doing here. Now reversing the ball is taking the hands where the upper hand goes down, lower hand goes up, and you end up in this position where this is on the opposite side. So that's reversing the ball. That happens when we're in a position where we're reversing like this. See, reversing. So reversing is just trying to get the upper hand below so that it can do that. This reversing is so you can get it underneath and do that. So we have that reversing of the ball when we close the movements, or when we, in long form, just before we do the part the horse's mane, we reverse the ball. So that's just it's a transition. Yeah. Because there's a leg transition, it's going to take you in a direction, and because the legs and the arms haven't connected so that there's that relationship, then it feels like, so you really have to tie your hands and your feet together. So you have to turn and turn, turn and turn. See, turn, turn. So typically, you're going to hold the ball, and then you would do this, do this, do this. So that's the initial movement. So now you can see that there's a connection to the lower half of your body. So you pivot on the toe. So Maria, you go pivot on the toe, toe, toe. But you have to shift your weight first. So this is one of the movements that you have in a transition, because there's a double pivot. See, there's a 1 and a 2, and you're back. A 1 and a 2, then you're back, right? A 1 and a 2, and you're back. 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 So you can see, were you able to do that? Yeah, all of this stuff is pretty tricky because what we're building is control of the body, right? So most people are pretty uncoordinated, or at least spatially not aware, and they don't pay attention to how you learn something like this. Or movement, any type of movement, you just kind of go through the motions. Everyone just mimics, like even cooking, right? What do? You watch a video or you read some instructions, and then you say, well, you grab all your ingredients, and then they say, put it together, So if you don't really, so then you have to imagine how you do this. If you never saw someone do something, you probably have a little trouble doing it. And then if they told you when you press like this and you have to use this hand, or you have to knead like this, then it becomes pretty technical. So when we're learning movement, it gets pretty technical, because you have to learn to control your limbs. You have to build this relationship. So when you're holding the ball and you're moving and you're moving and you're moving and you're moving, that relationship becomes something that you've built through a certain amount of body intelligence, the IQ of your body. So you're really building that intelligence based on the fact that now your body is learning and it's starting to understand a concept. That concept that it's trying to learn becomes body intelligence because now it knows. Knowing is not knowing is a saying, but the thing is, how does the body know if you don't have a format to teach it? You have to have a format. Even teachers, when they teach a child how to block letter, they have to draw lines. Then like a A is like this, and you do it over and over again. Then you identify, well, that's a A. Well, this is vertical position. This is horizontal position. This is a press. So we learn just like we're learning the ABCs of movement, and then you build off of that. And when you have enough fundamentals, you start to build a sequence, which is like writing a word. And then it's still just blocky until you learn how to script. When you tie your form together and you start to build a flow into it, now you're starting to build integration, seamless motion, which is scripting your form. That scripting of form becomes a skill. That's why people typically have pretty bad penmanship today, because they don't practice anymore how to write. You notice kids, when they write, it's pretty illegible because it looks horrible, because they don't really know how it's supposed to look. Back in the day when people used, whether it's the feather pen or inking and so forth, and you script, you could see, the characters, the flow of the movement, that it has depth, because they use these little wide pens with a tip like that, and as you transition, it shows you the wide parts of it. It's calligraphy. So penmanship becomes calligraphy, which is another art form. So when you're doing these movements, everyone can move, but is it systematized? Is it organized? So we're going to a vertical, we're going to a horizontal. That's just setting up those parameters like a A and a B or whatever it is. So even when I teach these movements, I use letters sometimes, right? This is like a L or a T stance. When you make a movement like this, it's like a D, right? It's a circle. It's like a O, right? We laugh, but the thing is, that's how we can relate. Now, if I tell you that this circle is an O, now you can make the connection. What's that?
What did you say this was?
It's an L. It looks like a V, but we usually, when we're doing a form and we're standing like this, we go like this, and that's how I tell the kids it's a L, and then you go out like this. So but it is a V. It is a V. So,
This is one of the best things I've learned.
yeah,
Because I tend to go wide,
yeah,
and now I do it purposely.
yeah. So when we're doing form, we're building those kind of that kind of muscle memory, building angular positions, squaring your feet. The geometry of position is really how you can define the accuracy. The last couple of days teaching in some of the classes, I've been talking about reference points. Eyebrow level, nose and center line, shoulder level, shoulder width. All of these 45 degrees, all of these really is space. So you have to define your space to know where you're headed. So if I'm in this position, okay, and I turn this foot in, then I'm heading in that direction. If I turn like this, I'm heading in that direction. So what happens when we step up in this position, if I go like this, I'm heading in that direction, right? But the thing is, I want to go here, so I have to turn my hip and end up here. So that happens when we do that first transition. We're here, I turn this foot, now it's like that. I go like that, I'm heading over there. But I really want to go over here. So how do I get my foot from here to here? I actually have to turn my hips until my foot is here. But because our weight is being carried by this supporting leg, you can pivot and rotate off of that leg to go in a direction. And what happens when you pivot is you have to relax your hip. So the hip is a ball and socket joint, so you have to pivot and rotate the joint in order to get it to be active. But what causes it to pivot could be a physical movement, turn and it goes in, turn and it goes out. That's really a physical movement, somewhat isolated in the sense that you're directing it. Now, if I had my foot like this and I turn my hip, my foot would turn. When I'm here and I pivot my foot, my hip would turn. So it happens as a voluntary action that you say, okay, turn my hip, turn my foot. If it's working together, then the hip's going to turn. Now, if I'm like this and I pivot this foot and I'm sitting here and I turn this way, if I turn my hip, now my body turns. But you had to relax your hip. If you didn't release your hip, then you wouldn't be able to turn. So when I speak of conflict of movement and tension in the body, right? If you keep tension, yeah, yeah, yeah. So if you're not conscious of the fact or even realize that you have tension in your body and its joints, then you're going to have conflicted movements. That's how most of the people injure themselves, because there's a conflict in movement, you don't realize it, and you just try to do it. Just go for it, and then you end up, doing something that's not right, and then you tweak something. But you don't really injure yourself just with really basic things when you're moving around. It's when you put a load on, like you're starting to carry something, or you move something that's too heavy, or you're moving something heavy in an awkward position that will compromise your joints. So this is what we're learning first, is how to maneuver our body with the footwork, with the body positions, and then the form itself is just a vehicle to house all these postures. So you have something to practice. You have grassless sparrow's tail, you have brush knee, you have single whip that we just went over, we have diagonal flying, and then we also have this starting position. When we're here, bending the knees, step up, say after diagonal flying, here's a starting position. That's just back to square one. But when we press like this, we change on to another position, we shift, go to the shoulder width position, and then raise the hand. So that's called raise the hand, right? So we know, now in the exercise, we go way up, because the reason why we go further up in here is because it's really part of an exercise called heaven and earth. Qigong, heaven is up and earth is down. So you get a reach, but you get a good stretch and alignment. So if you keep stretching and going up there, eventually your body starts to delete any excessive tension, releases the tension in your shoulder blade, releases it in the shoulder girdle, this clavicle area, let's go to shoulder blade, let's go, and you get a good reach, and all of this gets stretched without conflict. Without the conflict, then when you go like this, when you lift up to here, it's very relaxed because the shoulder knows to release a certain amount of tension. And then when you go down and you pick up the other hand, this is called stork flaps wings. So stork flaps wings, what is that? That's a double upper hoop position. So what's the hoop position? We know that this is the hoop position. We know this is the eyebrow position. And we turn the hands out, and there you go. You got stork flaps wings as a posture, a position. So, there's kind of a method to the madness where you go from one position to the next, but we don't really understand what it is in the beginning. We just kind of, let's get that look, but you don't know if the shoulder should be here or there, shoulder width, how relaxed should you be. So that's the process where your body goes through this transformation, learning to delete any erroneous tension, learn to delete any excessiveness, and then your body starts to get comfortable and relaxed. And ultimately what you're trying to do is move in a coordinated fashion, stimulating circulation through gentle movement. And circulation's the most important thing to survive. You need good circulation, you need nutrients in the body. So that's the only reason why we move. Why else do we need to move? Right? So we have all these components for a reason, but we only move a very small percentage. Just like we have this, brain that's houses a lot of stuff inside the neurons, we don't use all of it. And we have lungs, we don't use all of it. We have all these, parts in our body that we don't use all of it. In fact, we have two sides. Most of us are either righty or lefty. We only use one side more than the other. Right? Yeah. But, I guess we have two because just in case you lose one, you have the other one. So yeah. So even though we only have one nose, we have two nostrils. We have two ears, we have everything, just in case one goes. So it's good to work both of them so you have at least a chance that one goes, you got the other one. Okay, so let's go through the form. That was a sort of food for thought, right? So that's it gives you something to think about. And we're going to go through the short form, right? And this is where we're doing the active meditation. We're going through the sequence. There's your right side, grasp the sparrow's tail, and we transition into single whip. Hold the ball. Shift, step up and raise the hand. Bend from the waist, stork flaps wings. Toe heel pivot, relax the shoulders. There's your neutral position. Here's your opposite side. Brush knee, right side twice. Close the door, form the fist, divert, block, and punch. Cross the arms, leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Stroke out, fist under elbow. Repulse the monkey. Here's you hold the ball, turn out to a step, step up, turn toward the mirror, diagonal flying. Sit back, find your center over the foot, insert the needle, step forward, fan through the back. Turn, stroke down, parry and punch. Step forward, form the fist, punch. Divert, block, and punch. Cross the arms, leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Bring the hands down, turn, carry tiger to the mountain. cross the hands, raise the hand, bend from the waist, stork flaps wings, turn, left side grasps the sparrow's tail, hook your wrists, hold the ball, diagonal flying. Sit back, stroke down, hold the ball again, part the horse's mane. Step up, neutral position, stroke down, part the horse's mane. Cross corner, Jade Lady work shuttle. Cross over, Jade Lady work shuttle. Hook your wrist, turn to the front. Single whip again. Stroke down, here's your pivot. Here's your parallel stance. Here's your T stance. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, hook, together, open, spread your feet, single whip, hold the ball. Here's your foot, toe and heel, goes out, 1, 2, 3. So you'll find when you make that transition, if you're moving your lower half of your body, setting up that reversing the ball, that the hands don't actually have to do as much. It's when you're driving the hand without moving the lower part that it starts to feel awkward because this is stuck. Okay. All right, deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. So let's see what time it is. It's about so we're going to go into the long form, but what we're going to do with the long form is I'm going to go into the sections of the form that's so different from the paradigm. So it's the obliques and what happens after each set of cloud hands, because a lot of times when people first learning the form, it's kind of overwhelming just running through it, not knowing where you divide the sections. So in the Tai Chi Paradigm, it's about 7 sections of the form. Tai Chi Paradigm has the beginning movements. You have your brush knee section, then you have your turn, and you do the Parry and Punch section. Then you go to the left side, and then you have, a few sections there. So in the long form, that's exactly the same as the paradigm when we get to this point. So we're going to go to the oblique movement. So we sit back and we turn toward the front where we started the form. So we do the carry tiger to the mountain to the front, with the hands crossing on the outside with the right hand on the outside. Now this gets us into this position, so we turn and set up this hand position. So that's just like the position we worked on earlier to do the brush knee. And then if we did the drill, the 180-degree turn, you would turn, you move your feet, go to the back corner, flip your hands, brush knee and push. And we sit back and we do a grasp the sparrow's tail right side. And then we push forward, hook your wrist, turn to the other 45-degree corner, which is the oblique single whip. Okay, so that's the obliques. Let's go over that again. So, the important thing is going to the obliques is really finding your corners. So here's the carry tiger to the mountain, to the cross hand position, turn to the left front corner, set up your hands like this. So when we're here, if we just lift this elbow, we will already be in that position. If you go from cross hand to here, so we go from here, right? And simultaneously do that. and we're in the corner. So see how that transition is. We're here, 1, 2, 3. You actually don't have to pivot this foot at all. It just stays there. And you're in your corner. Flip your hands, there's your brush knee. Now this front foot actually has to turn till it faces that wall, and then you unwind this foot, and your hands should be in the left side position. Yeah, into the back corner, right. So now, if we're here, brush knee, push, and we sit back, go forward, and we turn. Now you leave your waist there, and you turn. Now if you don't have enough pivoting there, you can adjust this foot a bit to get to that corner, flip your elbow, and then you do the brush knee left side push, and we go back to grasp the sparrow's tail right side. And grasp the sparrow's tail using the same procedure to hook your hand and open the oblique position. You're in the corner, single whip. So we're here, right? Now we shift the weight, we pivot. 1, 2, then go to the ball of the foot, adjust a little bit more. Now we're here, we might have to swing that over a little bit, and we do the fist on the elbow. And that begins repulse the monkey. So in the long form, you have the obliques, and the only thing that's different is that you have that pivot to get the fist on the elbow. Now in the Tai Chi Paradigm, we're going to fist on the elbow from here. And then we get to here. Whereas in this position, we're coming from here, so when we pivot around, now our arms are like this. So this has to go to neutral, and this doesn't have to come to here now. It just follows the hand as it goes around. And then you go back to center. And then you go back to neutral, and you begin to repulse the monkey. Okay, so that's the difference, is the obliques. The obliques are just add-on movements going to the corners, but their postures you already know. And we do this repulse the monkey 3 times. And we're back to here. Okay, but we go down here and turn like this to carry tiger to a mountain again, but this time we have this transition where the leg goes out. That's actually a footwork, and then we hold the ball like this. So that's another way of getting to hold the ball position. Then we shift and step up for the second time to raise the hand. Bend from the waist, stork flaps wings the second time, and stork flaps wing leads us to brush knee typically, right? So we're going to do 1 brush knee. And then that's followed by insert needle. And you step up, cross the hands, open to fan through the back. Okay, then we turn, stroke down, invert the hand, parry and punch. That's just like in the paradigm. You form the fist, but this time we step backwards. We go back to neutral position, and we divert, block, and punch. Then we step up, and we do another grasp the sparrow's tail. And then we hook, and we're back to single whip. And that's where cloud hands begins. And in Tai Chi Paradigm, we would end the form with the cloud hands. But with this, we're just really repeating more postures over and over again, so the form is longer, not because it's so many new postures, but it's just cycling through them with new transitions. You have the same postures that have different lead-ins. So you go from, say, diagonal flying to insert needle. Here you have brush knee to insert needle. So that's different. You have step back to form the fist and to divert, block, and punch, different from stepping forward, which will show up later on in the form. And then you have to hold the ball from here. So if we're in this position and we're holding the ball, it's like this. From here, 1, 2, because this is coming off of carry tiger to the mountain rather than either neutral position or single whip, right? So the 3 ways of holding the ball would be single whip, 1, 2, right? Or neutral position, hold the ball, right? Or from here. So the common position is to hold the ball. The others are transitions that teaches your body how to maneuver from one place to another that's different. Because you don't, because there's functionality to the movement, you don't always know how you're going to be, where you're going to be to get into that next position. So that's really on a application side of it. Because when you're applying a technique, you don't know if the hand's going to be here to get to that point, here, or here. It's because you have to make a maneuver. So my hand is here, and I want to protect my center. I have to drop my elbow and then carry through to the next movement. So that's a defensive motion. What's a defensive motion? What's the purpose of a defensive motion? To block or to protect, right? So what is a block? A block is a barricade. But a barricade can be just like that, or you can kind of go with the flow to avoid the blow, right? My cousin said my cousin made that statement. You remember Tim way back when? Oh, you don't remember Tim? Yeah, he's like 95 now. No, he was here back when I first opened the school. Then, yeah. So, anyways, that's what that is. So the manipulation of the skeletal structure to get into different positions is a strategy and a technique to go from point A to point B in different ways. So let's repeat that again, all right? So we're here. This is carry tiger to the mouth. So we go down. Remember we worked that transition? I mean, there's a lot of nuances and subtleties that are built into all of these postures, but you can't capture all of them at once. So we're working sequence right now. And we turn to the corner, get into your stance, oblique brush knee, push. Then we go to the left side setup, horizontal elbow, and we got to turn all the way to the back rear corner, good, and then we brush knee and push. And then we do the right side grasp the sparrow's tail again. Now in the long form, grasp the sparrow's tail only happens on the right side. In the paradigm, we do it on the left side. So that's actually a good thing. It's an advantage. Now we're in a single whip oblique, right? And then we're going to shift, and we're going to pivot 1. Now we're trying to get all the way around, but if you can't make it all the way around, then just turn and adjust this foot. 1, 2, and then let this hand follow in, go beyond your center so you can kind of reset back to here. So every time you reset, it's just finding your neutral position. And then we're going to go forward, and then we're going to go backwards to repulse the monkey 3 times. So repulse the monkey happens twice, 2 sets of these in the form. Each set is 3 backward steps. So this is my third one, and it always starts on the left side. Now my left leg goes back. The arm movements are similar to brush knee and push. Okay, now I'm going to go to neutral and then pass down to here. Turn. Now here's your cross stance. Lift up. We balance over this foot, open, and then come through your center and go all the way down. Now we're in a horse stance. We spiral down. Then we shift, pivot this foot. We're in the diagonal flying position. Shift, step up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Raise the hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're back into this position. We do one brush knee. And then we go to insert needle. Get your foot over this foot. Your tailbone is over the supporting leg. And you're going like this. Bring the hand up to horizontal. Slide down the arm as we go to fan through the back. Turn opposite direction. Stroke down with the hammer fist. Invert the hand. Sit back. 1 and 2. Now we're going to retreat. Form the fists. Step backwards. And we're going out, in, and out. Step up. Grasp the sparrow's tail. So you notice it's a step up to single whip. Grasp the sparrow's tail. Now we're going to do the first set of cloud. And now the difference is now we're going to hold the ball again first as a transition. And we separate the hands. We have a shift and a shift. A shift and a switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that completes the cloud hands. That's the first section of the form, and that's kind of just before the kick start. So you notice when we did that little jog thing in the cloud hands, that's the hip thing that I was talking, that transition earlier on in the class, where you go, when you step up and you go forward, or you turn this foot and you shift, and you have to adjust your hip in order to come out. It's already there, but it's highlighted because, you know, we want to move our joints and manipulate our skeletal structure so that we have control. This area, the hips, these, you know, these ligaments, they're big ligaments, but you have to move them, otherwise they don't know what to do. So a lot of people have trouble with their joints because we don't move our joints, you know, correctly anyways. And then what drives the joints is movement and control in direction, you know. So that's really, you know, when I say prevention of age-related degeneration, you know, there's sort of a purpose to, and mindfulness to trying to overcome some of those things that will happen if you don't take care of it, or try to take care of it, you know. I mean, everyone's a little bit different. We talked before about the, you know, it could be in your DNA, your chromosomes, or your telomeres, whatever you want to call it, you know, mitochondria. Don't forget the mitochondria. Whatever it is that you can't, you know, we have to work with all of that. But this is just sort of the science and the you know, the physiology to what actually happens. But if you don't realize that these kind of things happen in the body, we're not scientists, but you have to understand, you know, what the scientists are trying to discover. I wish some of the scientists would do this, you know. But I try to look at what they do and then apply it to what I do, because there is a, you know, because that's actually what happens. You know, how do you develop muscle memory? How do you develop sequential memory? How do you memorize all these things? You know, it happens. It's programmed in there. So for someone who has done this for, you know, 6 decades almost, I would think that I kind of understand how the process went. So, you know, it's sort of an experiment to myself. So, because how do I recall all of these things? It's not because I jot them down and look at that all the time. It's because I'm doing it all the time. And because you're doing it all the time, it just stays with you. But it's in the forefront of your mind because it's active. Now you have long-term memory, short-term memory. The less you use something, the further back it goes, and it goes back and back and back, and eventually it might be so far back you can't get it out again, right? So it's stuck. So that's kind of, you know, why people, when they retire or they're not active, they get kind of brain dead. You know, because you're not using it. You're not as sharp as you use it. And that sharpness doesn't stop when you're retired and older. It actually starts earlier than that. It probably starts in your late 40s or maybe in the 50s. Mainly because we're really not learning a whole lot of new things at that stage. But if you are still learning a lot of new things and you're really using your mind in a certain way, you do stay sharper, you know. I don't know if I think I'm still pretty sharp for my age, you know. You know, but because I have a pretty good recall for a lot of things. And because I'm active, I do a lot of different things, so it's always churning. So I think it might be my ADD. ADD, something that they came, some term that they came up with. Yeah, compulsive behavior. No, I'm not that compulsive. No.
David is amazing. My husband, he's always busy.
Yeah.
He just goes one thing to another. He's busier now than he was when he worked.
Yeah. Well, because you try to do things, right?
He's trying to enjoy
Yeah.
his free time. I'm like,
But he's wondering, where's the free time? Where's the free time? Okay, so that's kind of the tutorial for the obliques, and then get you into the first set of cloud hands. So we just did the first set of cloud hands. So what happens after the first set of cloud hands? The kicks. The first thing you do is set this up. We flip the hands over, get the right hand on top, put it on top. Take a step forward, and this is called high pat the horse. Now, there's different versions of high pat the horse. Essentially, it's spreading the hands like this. You sit back and you flip the hands over and you turn toward that corner and you face that corner because that's where our hips are. And then when we kick, we have to turn the foot this way and then extend and then bring it down and then bring it to this position. So this is the starting position for the hands when we just went from cloud hands. But it's the reverse leg. Okay, did you follow that? So when we're here, we pivot. That gets us into a better stance. Start here. Just set this up, right? Okay, so that's almost like palm strikes face. We flip the hands over. We go forward and open. Now relax the shoulder. So when you open, let the elbows line up and the hands line up with your shoulder. We sit back, flip the hands over and let the elbows drift out to a cross hand position in a horizontal plane. Now when we turn like this and we shift our weight to go to this empty stance, fold the elbows to a cross hand position. So this cross hand is no different from the one that we had over there. It's just that you're in this format and you lift up and your knee is here. You turn your hip over to this corner, open and then kick. Then it comes down. This hand goes to here. You land on the toe. Because the toe position's just a check, but it's also an empty stance till you go to heel position, cross, and then you open, parallel, flip, and then you're going to let the elbows go out and fold. Then we lift again, kick, and then put it behind you, go to this stance, and our hands are like this. That's sort of like when we, okay, now we're going to turn and bring the right hand down on top, fold your elbows, and this time we lift up, and we're going to do a heel kick. The heel kick is pushing out with the heel, and then back to center. And we're going to do 2 brush knees, okay? So that's what happens after the first set of cloud hands. We have a series of kicks, but we're just going to do the first 3 and then do 2 brush knees, all right? Then we'll go forward one more time. And this time we're going to do what we call the planting punch. So that's like the parry and punch, the hammer fist, but on the opposite leg, okay? and then we'll turn. But okay, we'll stop there. Let's go back to the single whip. We're going to do that series again. So we're going to pivot. One, set this up, flip it over, cross the hands. Now we're still on the toe till we go to the heel. Pat the horse's mane. Oh no, high pat the horse, sorry. High pat the horse. And then you cross, fold the elbows so you have a cross hand position with a couple of gentle fists, and you lift up and you open the palms and kick out like we open and close. Back to center, step out heel, cross the arms, open, flip, sit back, toe out, lift up, kick, sit back, go back to neutral. This is your right stance. You turn 180 degrees, bring your right hand on top, fold the elbows. Okay, fold the elbows and do a heel kick. And then do a right side brush knee. Set up your right side, that's the horizontal elbow on the right, then we do the left. So we did the brush knee earlier, it's the same brush knee, no different, and then we go forward. Okay, now we have one more technique before we finish this leg of the form, and we're in Parry and Punch. Okay, so that's the first three kicks in the form. So we're going to do it toward the mirror, because if someone's watching on the video, they might not be able to track that. So let's go from single whip here, and let's turn. Here, this is your right side kick, even though you're on the left foot forward position. And this is the hand movements. Okay, so let's try that again. 1, 2. Let's try the, so that's really like reversing the ball, or this position is like a palm strikes face. So you have a lower hoop, a vertical elbow, and a palm out. On the opposite side, you have that same position. So that's your starting position here. This is where you're set up to do high pat the horse. So let's try that again. 1, 2. Again. 1. Fold, step out. Let's get the elbows out. If the elbows are out, then it allows you to spread like this. And pull your elbows in. Pull your elbows in. See, look at my elbows. Now they're parallel. Right? And then you're going to flip over, toe out, fold the elbows, lift the knee, and kick. And then this hand comes down, and this hand comes across. Cross again, elbows out, elbows in, flip it over, the elbows go out, fold your elbows down, lift up, like this. Without the turn, we bring the hand down again, fold again, and heel kick. So those are the three kicks without the mapping of the form. Two toes, yeah. Right toe, left toe, and one heel, yeah. So we did it only to the front. Say that without mapping of the form, we would start like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and kick. So that's your first kick. Now, setting up for the second kick, you would be starting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're back here. Now, if we did the turn, we would be in this position, and then we would bring this hand down, fold directly. There's no flipping or turning. We're just going to lift up, heel kick when we're here, and we set up our brush knee right side push. And we have two brush knees, so that's something we already learned from, the brush knee sequence. And then we go to this side and we turn, and then we have the planting punch. So I think maybe we ran over time. So anyways, on that note, that's it. I guess that's hour and a half worth of tutorial. There's a lot to digest, but the thing is, I think Lucien's calling me to tell me to stop talking. But the thing is, okay, so next week we're not streaming. We're closed from the 15th to 22nd. It's like a mini vacation. Actually, it's just not streaming and giving everyone a break. Even though we closed for 5 months, what's another? Yeah. I'll come back without talking for a week. I'll come back a wreck.